Hey, grade 9. Well, this is our first video, official video of Quint number 1. And so there'll be other videos that'll be posted on YouTube and also on Google Classroom. So if you don't get it in one place, you get the video in another. And it's a supplemental video, so it's just a highlight of what we've already taken in class, and then just kind of helps you out with the novel that we're going to be doing, which is The Giver. Okay, so we'll have that available for you. We will have the audiobook played in class for you to listen as you follow along, and then we'll split the class up into so the first hour will be the literary part, and that's The Giver. Then we'll after the break, and that's our staggered break, we will have our skills lab teacher come in, and she will do her lesson in reading skills, writing skills, so the skills you need for grade 10. And then we will switch again back to the curricular requirements on my part anyways. And so we'll start working on our research paper and get that good start on that so that you can get going on that. And then that also opens up opportunities to work on some other things while we take a break from The Giver and come back. Now, there may be some cases where we may just continue on with The Giver, depending on how things are going, the flow of the class, that kind of thing. So just be prepared for those possible changes in the course as we get used to Quints, okay, and the block system. And keep in mind the class is 159 minutes, so that's the reason for the 2.5 hours. We have 1 hour for one thing, an hour for another thing, and about 30 minutes for another thing. So just to kind of keep it fresh and flowing. All right, so the course outline is available on the Centennial LibGuide, so you can just check that out. And I informed your parents and guardians about that as well. So it's easy to access, and please do so because you'll need it. And especially when doing the questions regarding The Giver, you'll need that book. And I am going to be sharing it with you as well. So, and I'm going to do that, right now. So let's get into the course outline. As you can see, it's right there. And enlarge this a bit. Okay, there we go. So ELIB 9, and all the information for the course, what it's about, and what we would be doing, and the breakdown of marks are there as well. Now, I have the semestered dates in there. Obviously, that is not the case anymore, so don't go by those. And I'm not sure if I will update that or not. There's a few extra steps involved in order to do that. So I would follow the schedule that will be in the classroom and posted around the school. So disregard those dates as the dates that for due dates and that, and just follow the ones that are posted on the walls in the classroom and around the school. Okay. And there's all our textbooks. Now, we'll see if we'll get to Under the Sweetgrass and The Outside Circle. We'll see that, and whether we get there. We may do some Crossroads in there and Sightlines. There's some short stories in that. Probably Read and Think as well, and that'll be done in the class. So I will be providing that as we get to it. And again, there's all the information about the various different themes and the page numbers of where everything's located, and the learning outcomes that will be used as well. All right, so I'm just gonna keep scrolling here. We'll get to Don't Label Me as well at some point. And I'm going to speed it up here a bit. Okay, there's Romeo and Juliet. We'll be doing that after Thanksgiving, just so you know. And all right, where's the giver? There's our paper. Oh, I can't wait to do Strangest Mysteries. That'll be good. There we go. There's the giver. Okay, so the Giver novel study package is in the course outline booklet. And again, please access the LibGuide for that course outline. I don't have a printed copy, and due to COVID concerns, I will not be having any paper handouts. And if I do, it'll be minimal. So, and that goes with your submissions too. Please email your submissions to me, or I can scan your work in class with my portable scanner, and we can hand it in that way as well. So we'll talk more about that as the Quint block continues. All right, so Lois Lowry is the author, and she's written a series of books. There is also a novel called Gathering Blue, which I do recommend you read. But The Giver, a movie came out a few years ago that is pretty close to the novel. We'll get a chance to view that after we're done the novel. But it's the novel first, and then we'll watch the film, so we can do some comparisons and some contrasting as well. So you will be required to do a project for this novel, and you can do what I suggest here, or you can do your own. It's totally up to you. Just if you are going to do your own, please have that conversation with me so that we can discuss it, see whether or not it's going to be a good project to do for one thing, and whether or not it'll utilize your various skills and your needs as well. But I do have a suggestion here. So any reference to deadline period board, obviously the deadlines will be due dates scheduled on the board. So just check that out. So we'll have to just kind of be aware of the changes in definitions, terms, and things like that. So the visual project could be, because if you do a visual project and a visual written project, you're going to have to do both of them in order to get your full mark. So a visual idea would be like a snapshot of a scene that stood out for you, and you can draw it, or you can do a computer generated version and then provide the explanation for it. So hence a visual written. You can do a diorama or of a character, the novel, maybe present the December ceremony, something else. It's totally up to you on that one. And then you have your rewritten project, and you can see it's out of 100, so 60 and 40. Create a novel summary of The Giver in a 23 short synopsis, maybe an ABC book, that kind of thing. So those are just some ideas, but you don't have to do those ones. You can do your own. Or you can just do one major project, and I have plenty of examples in the classroom. So you can come, when you come, take a look at the museum of projects that are in this room. They are amazing projects, and the best part about it is that the students stepped out of their comfort zones and created something amazing, something that I never even considered. So there's that. If you like to bake cake, hey, bake a cake that reflects your understanding of the text, and just be sure you share. Actually, we might have to change that one. We'll have to see what the policy is on sharing cake, especially with the COVID concerns. So, but maybe you can make a cake for your family and then share it with your family instead. I think that'll probably be the better way to go about it. So, fortunately, we won't get cake. Okay, so we roll with it. There you go. So we got to be flexible, right? So when you do a major project, you have 3 questions you have to answer. There's the why you did what you did, so the reason. How did it help you understand the text? So, like, what is it about it that helped you get this text, the meanings and you know, the character relationships and things like that? And where did you get your inspiration from? So, what part of the text did you get the idea for your project? And so you'll just let me know chapter page, and that will be your citation for that project. And we will be working on citations and validations throughout the Quint, and especially in our research paper. So might as well get used to validating early, and because you're going to be doing grade 10, 11, and 12 as well. Final exam, not too sure whether we're going to have a final exam. And right now I'm going to say no, because of the fact that the block system is only about 36 days. And so if we have the two projects, one for the Giver and one for Romeo and Juliet, and your paper, and then of course all the other curricular requirements in between, we should have a pretty good snapshot of your capabilities and abilities. So I'll let you know if there will be a final exam, and I need to talk to Resource about that as well. So we'll have to see whether that is doable or not. Okay, so don't worry about a final exam right now. We're just going to focus on the novel itself, the assignments there, the summaries as well, and the project. Okay, so to start off, this book is about a dystopian society, and you can look up the definition in the dictionary, but the short version of it is dystopian. It's perfect on the surface, but when you dig a little deeper, there's some things that are a little not just right. So you start to ask questions, and you're wondering why are there, it looks good on one side, but it doesn't so much on the other side. Okay, and the big question, do we see that in our world today? Like, are there examples of situations where it looks great, you know, like first glance it looks great, but once you dig it a little deeper or delve into it a little deeper, you find out that there's something wrong there, just not right. So that's what this novel is going to be focusing on. And if you can find examples, like, you know, around the world in history maybe, where you know, we thought it was a good thing, but then found out it wasn't. In this novel, we have the community, and it's their world is a world of sameness. Everyone is the same. Okay, so there's no differences. Everyone dresses the same. They act the same. They respond the same. Okay, so there's no diversity really at all, because it's a world of sameness. So it's an isolated set of communities in this world, and we're not sure if it's a futuristic version or not. I know the movie kind of presents it as a more futuristic approach. So you're going to hear terms like utopia and dystopia. So utopia is like a perfect world, but dystopian, you know, again, it looks perfect, but underneath all that other stuff that looks good, there's some questionable things that we need to take a look at. So it appears to be utopian. There's no evidence of war, famine, poverty, or lasting pain of any kind. And so the families, they're called family units, right? So instead of just your regular family that we're familiar with, you are assigned to a family unit. Okay, so you have right now you have your mom and dad, and brother and sister, if that's the average family, or maybe you have a blended family or things like that. That's your family. Okay, so you're born into that, or maybe you're adopted into it, but either way, that's your family. Now, in this world, you are assigned to this family unit. Okay, and so each family unit has a mother, a father, a boy, and a girl. So it's an older term called the nuclear family. And so that was the common family back in the 50s and 60s, where you had two parents and two kids. Okay. Now, the family unit within the community is ruled by a committee of elders whose main purpose is to control everyone and everything. And so you follow a strict set of rules that each member has to follow, or they will be reprimanded, and they will be reprimanded publicly. Okay, so you don't want to be reprimanded publicly. There'll be loudspeakers, and they'll be saying your name, and you will be reprimanded. And if it continues to be an issue, you could be released. And we'll learn more about release later on. There are only 50 babies born every year, and they're called birth mothers, or they're born to birth mothers. And so this is a job that's been assigned to kids that are aged 12, and because we have the December ceremony, and there's the 12s. We'll talk about the age groups later. Those birth mothers, if they're assigned that job, they have that job for 3 years, and then after they've had those 3 years of luxury and of course bringing 3 children into the world, then they spend the rest of their life as a laborer. Okay, peer groups are identified by 1s, 2s, 3s. The movie has them as like a grade 12 student, so more 16, 17-year-olds. So we can incorporate that age group as well if we go by age. And when you read the novel, it kind of fits a lot better. So the 1s would be, you're age 6 when you're in grade 1. And then 2s and 3s. And then you just keep going up to 12. And if you're in grade 12, you're about what, 16, 17, maybe 18. Okay. So I think if we use that line of thinking, it'd be easier to understand how this community is set up. When they become 8s, they can start volunteering, and so then they're being monitored during this time to see what kind of job they will have when they reach, or they become a 12. Okay, and so there's 4 years of monitoring by the elders, and then during the December ceremony, where they move to their next level, you will have a new job opportunity. You also receive different clothing and some other things like a bike or certain toys, things like that. Like actually, they call them objects instead. They don't call them toys. And so you just keep moving up the ladder. And then when you hit the ceremony of 12, you're giving your job for that you will have for the rest of your life. Okay, so the main character is Jonas, and he's a 12 who's about to find out what his lifelong profession will be, and he soon realizes how significant his profession will be once he begins his training, and soon his eyes will be really open for the first time in his life. Because remember, everyone's the same, so metaphorically speaking, their eyes are closed. They don't see any differences of any kind, and on the surface, that's a good thing. Okay, we all see everybody in the same light. Okay, and that's a good thing. But again, if we get into diversity, there's no diversity in this community. Okay, and it's not until Jonas starts to open his eyes and starts to see that there is diversity there. Why are we hiding it? Okay. Why are the elders hiding this diversity, the colors and everything like that? Because everything's in a grayish, like black and white type of perception. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there, but that's just our introduction to the giver, and then we'll get into a little more discussion in class, obviously, but this is just to help you. And of course, you have access to the course outline booklet, so you can always peruse or go ahead and get yourself ahead of the game so that you can manage your time better in class and, of course, at home. Okay, so if you have any questions about the giver and you know, the projects especially, I would recommend you probably get started on the projects as soon as possible, as they are due just before the Thanksgiving break. Okay, so the sooner you get them in, the sooner you're done and you're free just to focus on what's going on in the class. And the same goes for your paper. The paper will also be due at some point in that period before Thanksgiving, because then after Thanksgiving we have Romeo and Juliet. So I don't want you to be focusing on a second major item during Romeo and Juliet, because we want to have some fun with Romeo and Juliet, and so if we can just focus on that, then we can have that fun with it. So talk more about that later. All right, until then, take care and be safe.